thank you so much for joining this tutorial. It's been a minute, it's been a while since we last did one of these. I was stumbling through my PC and noticed that we have a live recording that you've just seen playing there of Alaine, a song called Without You. As you know, Sound Addicts Live also brings you Kumingoli Bash, and this year we have it as well on the 3rd of August. And while that's a side note, this tutorial, I thought of doing it, one, to basically just use material that we never got to use, because as you know, last year we failed to bring Alaine for reasons beyond our control. So there was a video that we recorded for her to show her that we can use a Malawian band to perform, and she loved it. She loved the performance of the guys. Shout out to Moshu and the band members who recorded this. We recorded here, right here at Sound Addicts Live Studios. Yeah, so I just thought maybe I could delete everything. So basically I've deleted everything on the mix, and try and redo it with you and go through this while we prepare for our new course coming up on the 23rd and 24th of February in Lilongwe. That goes through live mixing on a digital console. Of course, the methods that I'm going to use in this, I'm going to try and stick to a digital console sort of way of working. One, I'm just going to use the PreSonus plugins, which are similar to what you would get in the console itself. And also, number two, I'm going to use usually the methods that I would go through when I'm mixing live on a digital console, and see if we can get a quick result on what would tend to be a sound check. The actual digital console lessons themselves, you can go through on the 23rd and 24th of February here in Lilongwe. We'll have my course running, and we'll also have the same course running on the 1st and 2nd of March in January this year, and also on the 8th and on the 9th in Nzuzu. It'll be 75,000 kwacha. We'll go through intermediate level mixing. We'll also go through how basically to capture your sources so that they sound, for example, I'll play this in a minute. It hasn't been touched, hasn't been mixed yet, but I'll play for you just to get a sense of how clean the sources are. We weren't using extremely high-end equipment. You can see in the video, some of the mics are basic microphones, but if you can get one, clean signal, two, understanding how your microphones work and understanding your sources, you can get clean sound that you can then mix as an example that we're about to show you here, and get a clean mix of all live instruments. Yeah, so again, shout out to Moshu and his band members, Chisong Mongondo, Blessings, Frank, and Luciano on the drums for the excellent performance, which also adds on to it. So just a quick explanation. The vocals, I'll just play them right now just so you can get.
Make it without you. We could have never, ever, ever make it.
These vocals were just extracted by some of this AI technology that we have right now, where you can extract the vocals out of a mix. So these are original vocals by Alaine. The whole point was we were trying to impress Alaine, so we wanted to put Alaine on the recording so that she can see how she may sound with the Malawian band, with the Malawian instruments, and the Malawian engineer. And yeah, the best way was just to put her in there, and she really felt like she was in there, and it was instant. Yeah, so and the rest I'll just play right now. I'll just mute the vocals. Yeah, so as you can see, we recorded a multi-track of everything that's in there. It's about 11 channels, nothing fancy, nothing extreme, Very simple recording, just clean and what you need to demonstrate what a band is capable of. Yeah. So what I've already done, I'll open up the mixer here. What I have already done is the levels where I want everything to be and the panning. And obviously, if this was a live console, during the recording, we had already gain staged this recording. What I mean by that is pushing enough signal into the channel using the preamp gain. The ideal level is obviously minus 18 on the digital console, and 0 dB if it's on an analog console. So you push that by using the gain knob. You let everybody test each channel, and then you raise that up until you see appropriate gain, which is what we have here. Of course, this is slightly zoomed in by Studio One here so that I can see better. So don't be fooled that this is clipping. It's actually not. I've just zoomed it in because the screen is quite far away, and I would like to see where the waves, how the waves look like. Yeah, but this was all gained to around minus 18 while we were recording, so there's no clipping. So that's step one to getting a good sound. Gain your stuff right. Yeah, and then after that, I've just done the levels just to save time. And then now I'm just going to go through and explain as I slowly start to mix this song what I'm doing. So I'll do it first and then I'll explain right after I've done that. So I'll start obviously with the drums. I usually like to start with the drums, so I'll start with the drums and see how we go through it.
Make it without you.
Right. So we'll get to the floor tom very soon. But actually, I haven't touched this mix in a very long time. But as I go through it, it kind of reminds me what how we were recording it, and also what we were thinking to mix it at. So we had a kick snare, tom one, I believe two, yeah, and floor tom, and one overhead. So in essence, the drums are almost mono in a way in terms of overhead wise and the full picture wise, and we using the snare microphone to boost some of the hi hat qualities of the drum. So that's why there's a big scoop here to kind of bring the hi hat out as well, and also while brightening the snare. So that's interesting. And for the kick, very typical movement on the EQ for the kick. I just removed this knock here. Nothing wrong with it, but it makes the kick sound less deep. If you hear the kick without it, so the kick sounds a lot more higher in pitch with this frequency here because it's very dominating. So I just removed it to be less dominating. The kick was so well recorded, you can use it without actually doing a lot of EQ, but I want the kick to sound deeper. So that's why we removed basically this right here, which is, what is that? Just around three is, I think it's 300 hertz. If I can't, okay, my screen is really far. Let me just nudge and see which one it is. Okay, no, actually 193 hertz. Yeah. So some people may ask, okay, well, how are you just removing things you don't know? You're not supposed to be looking at the frequencies as you're removing. You should just feel this feels right and remove that. Number one rule to EQing, especially live: remove what you don't like, then boost if you have to what you like. If you have to, keyword is if you have to, because it may already be enough before boosting. So I just felt like that low the mid there felt a bit too dominating for the kick. It made the sound a bit higher in pitch, so I removed that. Yeah, and then for the snare, like I said, we've just cleared out the highs. This is almost a secret trick that I do. When your stick is not loud enough, your side stick on the snare is not loud enough, find the middle frequency around the snare, somewhere around 1K most of the time. You find that is hiding somewhere around there. Let me give you an example. I could literally raise the volume of that stick by just doing this. There we go. Okay. So that's what I use. I've been doing this for a very long time. I'm literally just revealing my secret here on how to boost that side stick without necessarily boosting the entire snare. Of course, in reggae, yeah, less true because people also do that edge of the rim kind of snare hit. That also exists around that same area. But on most genres, you will pull the stick on only on that location right there. And the low mid boost for the bottom of the snare just to give it more body. Yeah, and that's all I've done to the snare. Similar behavior on the toms, just boosting the fundamental of the tom itself, and then cutting out some annoying frequencies somewhere on the higher frequency area on the toms, and almost the same on tom 2 where I've boosted the fundamental, and I just felt in comparison to tom 1. So this is how I EQ my toms. In comparison to tom 1, do I feel like when you hit tom 2 feels brighter or darker? If the answer is brighter, I'll make it darker. If the answer is darker, I'll make it brighter. Just so that when you're going through your toms, they feel like they're coming from the same drum kit. That's the secret right there for my toms. And I'll mostly boost the fundamental until I feel like the clarity, not the clarity, but the character in the tom is being heard in the mix. So let me just find somewhere where we can find tom number 3, and then we can go through what I've just explained on what I do with the toms together. So this area here, we have tom number 3. Let me just play that. Some people also call it the floor tom, because most of the time the third tom is the floor tom. By the way, you can just count them: tom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 until you have all your toms finished, or call it floor tom when you're on the floor toms. Yeah, floor tom 1, floor tom 2, floor tom 3, and so on and so on. Yeah. Again, that tom sounds pretty decent in comparison to the mics that we were using as well. So let me try and EQ that. So already quite thick, but I'm going to try and remove some low mids in this particular case. I just sometimes toms are EQ'd similar to a kick, floor toms. Yeah, so you can hear that's not necessary, and that's so much cleaner. I don't know what your speakers are sounding like, but that's so much cleaner. So I'm just going to make it a bit brighter as well. Yeah, so somewhere there. So before, down, after, very simple. And then I'm going to try and play, hopefully all the toms are going to be here. And then just hear the clarity in all of them and see if they sound similar. Very similar. Of course, tom 2 still has a bit of a mid-range that I don't like in comparison to these other two toms. That's it right there, whatever that is. That is 500 hertz. Okay, so tom 1 boosts the fundamental, drops on 2K, wasn't very nice. Tom 2 boosted the fundamental, drops on 500, boosted the high end. Tom 3 cut some, 273 hertz, boosted the high end. Sounds nice. I think I would end it there. And then I've done a very typical thing that I'll do on a live stage. Of course, this would be less exaggerated in terms of the low cut here if maybe it was in a studio setting, because I'll probably be more surgical and remove the parts I don't like. But generally live, I just want the overheads to capture mostly the high end of the drum kit and maybe some mid-range. Why is that? There's already so much noise on the stage. You don't want to be boosting that noise into the mix and make it less clear. It's different when you're in the studio, you can be surgical, but with live, it's a lot more difficult. There's so much noise, even to hear the surgical move. So I'm doing a similar move to what I'll do in a live setting on these overheads. Okay, so luckily with Studio One, we can turn off everything at once and then see what we've done with this EQ in general. So I'll just play where these toms are playing, and then I'll just turn off everything so you can see the small moves that we've done and what they're doing to the sound. So you can see that by cutting this, the drums have become more forward and more clearer, and obviously we've boosted some high end on these drums, so that's also helping the clarity. They're bringing the drums more forward. Okay, so with that, what I'll do to make this even more friendly for my analog users, we'll send this to a subgroup, and then we'll do all our compression on the drums on the subgroup. Sometimes people think you have to compress everything all at once all the time. It's not really true, especially with drums, because not all drums are hit at once. So even if you use just one compressor on the master, you can get some pretty decent compression on your drums and move on like that. So I'm just going to compress all my drums on one group to make this a far simpler thing. So I'll use the standard compressor that comes with Studio One, which is also the same compressor that comes on the PreSonus 32S series. Let me just say the PreSonus Studio Live series. Same with this EQ. This EQ comes with the console as well. So this is compatible to anybody who wants to do this on stage. So you just send this on to your subgroups and you compress them all at once. It makes the drum sound more uniform as well. So I'll just compress this same section where we have our toms playing as well. So let's have a listen. I think those are great for me. That sounds good. So what we've done, let me just call this bass group drums. It's the same thing that you get on. It's a subgroup on most consoles. So all our drums have gone to the subgroup, and then we've done a general compression on all of those drums. And something that I also like to do on top of that is an additional EQ where I usually do a shelf on the high end and a shelf on the low end, and basically just season the low end and the high end according to how I feel they should sound like. Let me just reshape those. There we go. That's the one I like right there. Yeah, so I'll usually just boost that. Let me put that up and down until I like it, and then that up and down until I like it. So let me just also move that. Yeah. So I'm just gonna listen out and see how this sounds like. So let me see what's up here. That sounds nice. There's just this woo, woo, woo coming from the toms themselves. Especially I can hear it in my ear on my left here. So I think it's coming from here. So it's obviously coming from the toms. So I'm gonna gate my toms to just get rid of that. So again, I'll just open that, press play, and see where it's cutting. Okay. For some reason, it wasn't engaging earlier, but suddenly started engaging. Anyway, it could be a software issue. Have a look again. Okay, that's better, but I'm still hearing this woo 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 sound. So let me just find it on the EQ and see if I can get rid of it. So it's on the same fundamental. Let's see if we can do two things at once here. That's better. Okay, it's not a big deal, but because I can hear it, it's frustrating me. So I don't want to over pump the gates to the point where it's no longer making sense to the music. So yeah, we can put it at that and keep going. I'm still trying to stick to limitations that you would have on a live setting. So I activated the filter here, and I know that it's around the 200 hertz mark. So I try to stay away from that with the low cut, and obviously just get rid of some hi-hat noises on the high cut and be sensitive to that area. But it's not being as sensitive as I would like it to be, but it's still doing a good job. So yeah, so that's that. And then yeah, again, this is doing a great job. It's making the drums sound a bit brighter and a bit deeper, and that's what I love to do. Another top secret of mine. So we're letting these go today. But use them with caution, I'd say. Yeah, so let me turn off the bus settings that I've done. That's where we've come from. and that's where we're at right now. So we're getting a lot of energy coming to the drums, which is fantastic. So you can see big difference to the sound, what we've done on the bass compression here. Of course, we've gained a bit of volume. We've tried to match it, but it's not a big deal if you've not matched it to 100%. You're still in control of your mix. You can still drop this fader down if you need to as the mix goes. So let me bring in the bass guitar. So here, what I'm about to do might sound a bit insane. Truth of the matter is, this is reggae. This is R&B reggae. Nobody's looking for that high end on the bass. We're looking for that deep, swirly, rumbly, not rumbly, but round bass. So I'm about to do something that may shock you. And I'll try to... yeah, so this works for me when I'm trying to do reggae. I'll basically kill a lot of everything. So I'm just going to play it, so then I'll explain. As you can see, that sounds way deep. That sounds way deep. But the EQ moves are way crazy. It's like you hate that bass or something. We've just killed everything centered around 300 hertz here. Poof down. I've just kept this for slight clarity in the bass. If we need more clarity, we're going to boost this area right here. But I've just gotten rid of all the high end and just left this low rumble right here. That just sounds more like a reggae bass to me. Comment if you feel like I'm right on this. It looks crazy, but never let your eyes deceive you when you're trying to get the right mix. Whatever you need to do works. This also comes to another thing. If you were a live sound engineer and you had 4 bands to do that day, this is the right setting, or this setting right now, what I've done right now, makes sense for this particular artist. But the next artist may not deserve just deep rumbly bass, so you can feather this back in as you would like. But in this particular case, always respect what's being performed and do the right thing for that performance all the time. So this works right now. That's how I feel. I'm going to smash this with compression as well. I do heavy compression on bass. I don't like for the bass to be dancing up and down. Subs, love, constant feed. You don't want some bass to come in and disappear. So again, we're mixing for a live situation, so the subs love a constant feed. So let me just try and compress this heavily and see what we get. Great, that sounds good. By the way, people feel like you should spend 15 hours on a compressor. That's not really true. If you get to know what you're doing, which we'll talk about in the course, by the way, on the 24th, 23rd and 24th in Lilongwe, 1st and 2nd in Blantyre, and 8th and 9th in Zuzu. We've done the course on the basics. I've done that quite a lot. We've done it for the past 3 years. This year, we're trying to get a bit more advanced and talk more about the compressors, the gating, and all of these fancy tricks that I'm talking about here. Here's why I'm revealing them, because I'm going to get more in depth in the course. We're using the actual console, not the software. We're going to use the actual console. We're going to have the PreSonus there. We're also going to have the Behringer X32 there so that we can go through it for various people and users of different consoles. And we're also going to learn how to use any console, even if you have no idea what that console is. There are certain steps that you take that are very similar on every console, and we're going to go through those steps. Yeah, so using a compressor should not be something that should trouble you or stress you if you know what you're doing. What I've done here is very simple. I want every note to be more audible as you pluck them. So we've done a slow attack and a medium release just to keep holding the bass at similar level. And I think we've compressed roughly, we're pushing roughly, what's that? Yeah, we're pushing roughly 6 to 8 decibels of compression, and I've just pushed this threshold down until I'm getting something that I hear is right, and then we're doing I think this is roughly 3.4 to 1 ratio. Yeah, so we're just using our ears to get the right sound, but we know what we're doing with the settings. That's why we're getting these right nice settings on there. Yeah, so that's basically what I've done, and then I've just done a bit of makeup gain here. If I went heavier, I'll then mix it with the original signal, but I think this sounds good, so we move on. Yeah, so there's our bass. So it's sounding powerful, it's sounding thick. I can turn everything off that we've done so far. Let's have a listen. So this is where we're coming from. It sounds dull. It doesn't sound like we're gonna get something nice out of this. But let me turn it on. More forward, more powerful. If you see here on the master level, it's not good we're getting more volume or anything, but we're just getting more power because we've done the right things, as you can see right here. We're still maintaining roughly the same volume, but we're getting a lot more power because we've done our EQs right and we've done our compression right. And all we've done so far, we've used only 2 compressors in this mix. Get that right. We've only done 2 compressors in this mix. So it means it's very possible with very few compressors. People think you must plant 100 compressors. That's not necessarily true. Yeah, so we move on to our lead guitar. Right now, I am not getting a sense to do anything to it yet. I don't know what to do to this particular guitar yet. That's fine. It means maybe it's already okay. Move on to the next instrument. You can always come back. There's no wrong way of doing it.
Never make it without you. Me coulda never make it without you. Make it without you. Coulda never breathe, coulda never sleep, coulda never eat, coulda never be without you. Me coulda never walk, coulda never talk, coulda never without you.